Hello and welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue, and tonight we have a special episode. Originally, I wanted to talk how stunning was Catherine yesterday and how we all got a wonderful tiara moment completely out of the blue, but I'm sure you love this kind of surprises as much as I do. But I also wanted to mention that I have some new projects with this channel, specifically about British history. I've got the storytelling experience. Some of you have already read my written stories, but my intention is to create short video documentaries about interesting anecdotes of personalities of the United Kingdom. I'm doing my homework, reading a lot, learning about documentary making, and starting out with two of my favorite figures of the 20th century, Queen Elizabeth II and Winston Churchill. So, you know that synchronicity is a real thing. And as I was doing my research on this friendship between two absolute legends, you know that you can get emotional because the best anecdotes are personal anecdotes, hands down. Yes, we are talking about larger-than-life people with incalculable geopolitical influence and an immortal legacy, but it's those little stories that actually give us the true insights of someone's character and personality. So, as I was working on that legendary connection, I stumbled upon this article from the Daily Beast, and I need to give you a word of warning. This is not an easy read. If you love Queen Elizabeth, if you despise injustice, if you think she deserved better from her own grandson on her final years, well, these paragraphs can be quite painful. But the real reason is that I'm seeing these reports that claim that it is Meghan Markle who is hell-bent on destroying the royal family. And that is just giving Harry a free get-out-of-jail card. Because what we are about to read together depicts the true extent of how much pain Harry inflicted on the late Queen. Cruel, Prince Harry betrayed dying Queen Elizabeth, France says. A friend of the late Queen Elizabeth has dismissed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's reported decision to stop spilling royal secrets, saying the couple should have held the peace in the last months of the Queen's life when it was clear the Queen was dying and was in great physical pain. The Friend's furious response came after a story in British tabloid The Sun claimed that Harry and Meghan will stop making content slamming the royal family, with an anonymous source saying that period of their life is over and there is nothing left to say. The bereaved friend's outraged reaction represents a rare insight into the closely guarded and highly secretive circumstances surrounding the death of Elizabeth, who died in Scotland in September 2022. As a result, the Daily Beast understands of bone cancer. The friend of the late Queen told the Daily Beast, for the last years of her life, certainly from when her husband died in April 2021, the Queen was in a lot of pain. In the final months, of course, it got very much worse. By the time of the Platinum Jubilee in June 2022, she couldn't see very much, she couldn't hear very much, and she was easily confused. She barely moved from her apartments in Windsor Castle. Appearing on the balcony at the Jubilee required a titanic effort. That was the time for Harry and Meghan to bite their tongue. Instead, they produced this unending stream of incredibly hurtful films and interviews attacking her life's work. For Harry to announce he was writing a memoir when his grandmother was not just recently widowed, but actually dying herself, as he must have known she was, well, the cruelty of it takes the breath away. The idea that they are now going to take a vow of silence after all the damage they have done, even if it was true, which I very much doubt, will do nothing to assuage the anger and disgust some of her friends feel about what they did to the Queen in her final years. Although the palace refused to comment at the time, and her death certificate simply cited old age, her friend Giles Brandreth subsequently reported that the Queen had been suffering from bone marrow cancer at the time of her death. The bereaved friend told the Daily Beast they did not know the exact type of bone cancer with which the Queen was afflicted, but said they saw no reason why Brandreth should be incorrect. Bone cancer can cause severe chronic pain and can make it difficult to move around, which would mesh with the palace's default description of her health in the months before her death, that she was suffering episodic mobility problems. However, sources have told the Daily Beast that she also found it increasingly difficult to focus or concentrate on complex matters for more than a few minutes, and that of the ongoing pain of her condition was partly responsible for her withdrawal from many aspects of public life. Although she was never photographed in a wheelchair, she used one regularly to get around the palace, a source previously told the Daily Beast. Harry seemed to hint at a clear knowledge of his grandmother's vulnerability when he told the Today Show's Hoda Kotb in an April 2022 interview that he had visited her with Meghan and controversially said, "I'm just making sure she is, protected. I got the right people around her." The remark irritated other members of the family who felt Harry and Meghan's actions, including their Oprah Winfrey interview, had in fact been a major cause of unhappiness and stress for the Queen. The anger expressed by the friend in the new remarks mirrors, to some extent, a highly critical assessment of Harry's behavior given by King Charles' best friend, Lord Nicholas Soames, who, by the way, is Winston Churchill's grandson, in an extraordinary interview with the London Times in the days before the coronation that was to some extent buried by the mountain of coronation coverage. Soames excoriated Harry for hurtful behavior of the cruelest kind toward his father, saying that publishing a memoir and giving interviews attacking the family had deeply wounded and upset the king. Soames said, "In respect of Prince Harry, I can't put myself in the position where my own son, if he did something like that to me, it would just be the cruelest." Later in the interview, asked how Queen Camilla felt about Harry, Soames dodged the question, saying he hadn't discussed it with her, returning instead to how Harry's public attacks on the family had affected Charles, saying, "Of course it was hurtful, you could see it, written all over his face. Put oneself in his position, it was just painful beyond words." The new claim by the bereaved friend also meshes with a report in January in the Daily Telegraph, which said that Harry and Meghan's ambition of the family had an impact on the Queen's health and that the prospect of the book was playing on her mind in her last months. One source, described as a friend of the late Queen, told the Telegraph, "This stuff was shoved in her face on an almost weekly basis. It had an impact. She had lost Prince Philip, and then the constant ambition of the royal family by a much-loved grandson did take its toll. At that stage in your life and your reign, you just don't need that on top of everything else. That's why no matter what happens, Harry must be held accountable for this." I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. And my Royal Rogues, we are so close to 125,000 here, and that is just amazing. And you know one insane fact? That last month, almost 1.5 million Rogues dropped by, watched my videos, and we had a good time together. What about making it a daily habit? All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and enable notifications on your device so you don't miss any of my daily episodes. And if you want to support my documentary making journey, you can donate using the PayPal link in the description of this video. The two most important words: much love and bliss.